this week's topic is slightly, well, it's a new one. It's different. But let's start off with talking about sellers, listings and sellers and listings. When you get a listing, you're dealing with the seller. And most of the time when somebody is selling a house, there's a reason why they're selling a house. Sometimes people sell a house because they want to, I don't know, move out of state. Sometimes people sell their house because they get a job transfer, so they got to move. Sometimes people sell their house because maybe they want to upgrade. Their house is too small, so they want to upgrade and get a bigger house. For whatever reason, they call us, the realtors, of course, and they say, hey, come on over, let's chit-chat. Let's talk about you selling my house, and you take it from there. You get yourself a nice listing, close the deal. It's a happy day, and things rock and roll throughout the escrow. Things are going comfortable. Close the deal, you get paid, everybody's happy. But occasionally, let's talk about this one. Occasionally, the seller and that listing isn't the most comfortable, isn't the most happy, isn't the most pleasant. And that's when you're selling a house of a couple that's getting a divorce. Oh, I said the D word, the divorce. And sometimes this can happen to you. Sometimes you'll get a nice listing, or you'll be offered a listing, and the couple is in the midst of getting a divorce. Now, how do you handle a divorce listing? It can be difficult, and I'll tell you why it can be difficult. Because in a sense, you're handling two transactions. One, you have to represent both sellers, and in this case, they aren't together. Let's get this straight. In this case, of course, contractually they're together, but many times they're not agreeing to the terms of the sale of the house. Maybe sometimes one of the spouses doesn't want to sell, and the other one does want to sell. Maybe one wants more money than the other wants. There could be complications between both couples. They don't agree on everything when it comes to selling the house. Now let's pump the brakes up. Let's back up a little bit. So they call you and they say, can you please come sell our house? We are in the midst of getting a divorce. And you say, of course, I'll sell your house. There's a few things you have to do before you get started. Number one, let's see who's on title of the house, huh? Let's see who's on the title of this house, who's on the title report, who actually owns this house. Now, just so you know that in the state of California, typically when a couple gets married and they buy property together, it's considered community property. Get that straight. It's considered community property here in California. Which means once they get married and they buy property together, they both have access to the property. They both get to reap the rewards of whatever financial benefits are come about from the sale. If one of the spouses brings property to the marriage, meaning they already own something when they got married, that typically is theirs, their own private property. In addition, let's assume a couple is married. All right, they're married. Here, it's a nice marriage. Yay! They're love and marriage. They're together. Everything's happy. And throughout the marriage, let's assume that one of the spouses inherits property. And typically that property is that individual's and only that individual's. They're not bringing it to the marriage. They were gifted that property. So that in a sense is their own separate property in most cases. They call you and they say, okay, let me look at the property details. Let me look at the title report. And you find out that sure enough, they bought it together. This is community property. So now here comes the difficult part. You show up and you're hoping that this is an amicable divorce. You're hoping that these two people are still happy even though they're going to get a divorce. So you show up. Many times it's not. So let's just assume the worst case scenario. These two individuals aren't seeing eye to eye. Oh, now what do we do? What do we do? They're not seeing eye to eye. Number one, you're going to sit there and I want you to do this. Never take sides. Never take sides. Keep it neutral. You're going to hear stories from the husband. You're going to hear stories from the wife. Many times they're going to tell you what happened. They're going to possibly talk trash of the other. They're going to say, I don't know how I did it for so many years. They're going to give you all the dirt. And they might share a bunch of, they might just become emotional with you. This is where you as a realtor, in many cases, become a counselor. You're going to hear a lot of stuff, but what you don't want to do, listen to me, you don't want to take sides. Because what you want to do, and keep this in mind, you want to keep it neutral. You want to make sure that you concentrate and focus on the goal. And what's the goal here? Yeah, that's right. The goal is to sell the property. All right, let's go again. Number one, keep it neutral. Number two, I want you to keep both sides, because now in a sense you have two sides now. It would be very nice if you had one solid couple who agree on the sale and all the aspects of the sale. But in many cases you'll have two individual ones. This gentleman will expect certain things, and of course the wife will expect certain things. So now you got to deal with both. What I want you to do, ready? I want you to please keep both sides informed. You have to communicate with both sides. Whatever you tell this side, I want you to tell this side. And whatever you tell this side, you gotta tell this side. You gotta make sure you are thorough with both sides. You with me? Be thorough with both sides. The next thing I want you to do, please, is I want you to make sure to keep it all business. Keep it focus on business, focus on business, focus on closing the deal. Got it? If they both agree to sell, then just sell it. Run your comparables, price the house, sell the house, make it happen. If they both agree to sell the house, you got to get both signatures on that listing agreement. If you get both signatures on that listing, it should be nice and simple. Keep it business-like, sell the house, no questions asked. Let's start over again. Number one, don't take sides, keep it neutral. Number two, keep both sides informed. Keep this side informed, keep this side informed, done. Number three, keep it all business. Focus on selling the house. Got it? And last but not least, what I want you to do is I want you to give them their space. Give them their space. If this one agrees on a certain price, doesn't mean this one's going to agree to a certain price. And if this one agrees on a certain price, doesn't mean this one's going to agree on a certain price. Give them their time to think. Give them their time to think. This is a very emotional time for these people. A breakup after marriage, a divorce is very, very difficult. Not that I've ever gone through one, but I've dealt with divorced couples before, and it can be very difficult. So you got to give them their time to think about what decision they're going to make. You can do this if you focus on the deal. They've hired you. It's going to be a little bit more of a struggle, a little bit more challenging because you got to deal with two people with two different opinions. It might be two different opinions. And after all of your due diligence and after all this good stuff that you've done and brought to this transaction, what do you get? Yeah, you get a nice commission check that you darn deserved. So keep that in mind, huh? Divorce situations, they can be more complicated than this. Sometimes there are attorneys involved. Sometimes it's a court-ordered sale, all that stuff. But for the sake of learning something today, if you get a couple who is amicable about their divorce and they both agree to sell the house, all you have to do is focus on the deal. Another thing I want to do is I want to give you one more tip on this. One more tip, and this is the deal. When you put the house on the market, yay, they hired you, you're going to sell it and put it out there to the public. You're going to grab this listing, you're going to throw it out there on the MLS. There's no need to tell the buyers out there that this is a divorce situation, because most buyers think that when it's a divorce situation, that the sellers are willing to take just about anything. They tend to lowball people who are getting divorced, and there's no need for that kind of nonsense. So if the people who are getting divorced, if the couple who was planning on getting a divorce, they may tell you, please do not tell anybody of our situation. Please keep it private. That's what you're going to have to do, unless the sellers tell you to inform the buyers of that. But I wouldn't. The whole idea is to get as much money as you can for these people. All right, good. So I hope you learned something today regarding divorce and real estate. You can handle it. Listen, not a big deal as long as you focus on the sale. You can make it happen. We're excited for you to go out and get started in this real estate career. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want us to talk about a certain topic, do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Leave it down there in the comment section.